All right, my name is Rich Schmidt. We're here with Laurent Percheron. It's June 13th, 2024, and we're at Andante Vineyard in Montreal. Laurent, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
First question is why wine?
Why wine? Wine started for me after studying accounting when I was after the high school. Very hard to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I think at this age it's pretty common. So I went toward accounting, did my 2 years of courses, get the diploma, and then I didn't want to really look for a job in that field. It taught me a lot, don't get me wrong, but didn't want to pursue in that direction. And so I spent my summer that year after the diploma to travel in Europe with friends. And when I came back, end of summer, I was looking for a job because, you know, everybody has to live in one way. And I look at this post, this ad for harvest. So, oh, yeah. Why not? Let's do that. So I got the interview, and that's when it started all. I got the job as a harvest intern.
What year was that?
And so that was 2009. 2009, I was 22 years old, and yeah, that was my new chapter, and it's still the chapter, you know. And from then, I work for the same vineyard, which is a 45 acres vineyard in the Loire Valley in Anjou. To that date, I never found better place to learn and to be surrounded by people with the same love of wine and sharing. I owe them a lot in terms of knowledge, in terms of they didn't want to teach me anything. I was curious of everything, but this is where the information was conveyed to me that catch my attention, my curiosity. Onto that, they encouraged me to pursue in that direction. So I was looking for, enology and viticulture, but I got catched by marketing in a way, wine sales, wine business. So I took a class for a year to teach me geography, mainly because I didn't know anything, right? I didn't know anything at all. I was brand new, so I got, involved into that. I learned a lot that year, and then, so that was in 10. I was continuing working at Harvest at the same place. That teach me a few things in the vineyard as well, and then I got. At the University of Wine in the south of France, and that was great because I was a bachelor in business and marketing of wine, and I didn't have to redo 2 previous years. I already have my accounting degree, so I could just catch that courses and that was a great year. Met a lot of people again. Did an internship in a distribution company in Morocco. Was teaching a young sommelier to pour wine and to explain the differences between every kind of wine, really French mainly. After that year, I got a job in Paris. I moved to Paris to be a manager of a wine shop. a great experience as well. And this is when I realized that I really wanted to go back to enology and viticulture, because I was in contact with a lot of winemakers, vignerons as we call them, because there is no distinction between a winery and vineyard, really. And yeah, that was in the continuity of my first harvest. These people were working organically, have a very strong opinion about how wine should be made in the most natural way possible. That's where all my vision of wine is coming from, to be honest. So I had that job for 2.5, 3 years in Paris. Great memories, great with meeting with different winemakers from all over France. And so I decided to quit to pursue enology and viticulture in Burgundy, where I studied in Beaune, the VT as we call it, for a year. Same thing, great memories of people that I met. Some of my friends are now winemakers in France, and I'm very happy for them, and follow their stories as well. It's great. So that was a year as I was working also in a vineyard in Gevrey-Chambertin. Pinot Noir. This is where the Pinot Noir is getting in my story. So I spent 1.5 years over there, learned different techniques, different method, different winemaking style. Yeah, great memories again. And then I was looking for something different. I wanted to open my horizon. And I got the US in the back of my head for a long time. I'm a big basketball fan. I played myself basketball for more than a decade. And I was intrigued by what they have to offer in terms of, wine. I was not knowing anything about the new world. And that's what was intriguing to me, because I come from the old world. So what's happening over there? So I got an internship via CAEP. I'm doing some advertising as well. CAEP, it's a program, an exchange program, which brings people from all over the globe to the US in agriculture. And I got interviewed by Aaron Lieberman from Iris Vineyard in June 2016. And that was the beginning of the journey in the US, actually. A completely different style of what I learned in France, but at that point I was eager to learn, and I'm very happy to be in the US. Completely different experience for what I had in France, but I took it as a different path. I would say I really love working with Aaron. He's a great man. He has his own way of teaching, and I took everything he had to say. Completely different mindset from France again. And on to that, this is where I met Erin, my wife. And on to that, we decided to push the exploration a little bit further. That was her second year in the industry, and we wanted to stay together. So say, okay, let's go do another harvest somewhere else. And it's almost like we, put the finger on the map and say, let's go there. I mean, that was more strategic than that, but New Zealand it was. So in New Zealand we went for harvest for 6 months. 6 months, and we ended up in a big, huge winery, St. Clair. Something that I never did before. The tank were the size of a building of maybe I don't know 10 floors. Maybe it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but that was the feeling when I was at the top of the tank. So here that was the confluence of a lot of culture. People were coming from everywhere. There was a team of 20 interns from Austria, Germany, Slovenia, I think so, Peru. Wow, a huge diversity. That was great. Different way of thinking, different way of doing. And after New Zealand, we went back to California, where Erin is originated. And we went back to France, and then back again to the US in 2018. And this is when we got married in 2018 with Erin. And after that, did a couple job. I didn't have my visa permit yet, so I couldn't work necessarily in California. But when we moved in Oregon in 2019, this is where I started my career in Oregon. Starting in Eugene, we were located in Eugene. And then we moved to the Willamette Valley in 2019, and I did a couple wineries in Oregon, starting by Messara Winery for 2.5 years, and now at Andante Vineyard since 2021. So yeah, that's a condensed story.
We'll unpack it a little bit as we go here. What's before we go further on? Let's go backwards a little bit and talk about life before wine. Tell me about where you were born and raised and kind of early life up into school.
So born and raised in the Loire Valley on the banks of the Loire River. A lot of vineyards around. Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc are the kings, and my favorite varieties as well. Very normal life. Grandparents and a lot of family in the farming. My mother and my dad had a different path. My mom was a teacher in mathematics. And my dad was taking care of disabled person and including them in the workforce. And I have a sister and a brother. My great grandpa, I think, gave me the love for the vine. He, at this time, every little farmer had his own row of grapes and was making his own wine at home. And I think that's a great memory of mine. Gathering the family, picking the grapes. I think there is a picture of me at 3 or 4 in the vines looking at the grape. He was very into gathering the family and transforming the grapes into wine for his own consumption. I can't tell about the quality of the wine, right? I was too young, but he was like that. Yeah, great memory of my great grandfather.
So growing up around wine, you mentioned going to school and not really knowing what you wanted to do. Did you think you would ever get into wine as a profession?
Not really. I don't think except if we are in a family already in the wine industry, I don't think it's something that you think of. It's really a career, as I look back in a perspective, it's a kind of a beaten path career style, but I definitely embrace it. From the values he gave me, hardworking and curiosity again, learning every day something new. That's really something that sticks to me since then.
So you mentioned your first harvest experience and how formative it was for you. Tell me your memories of first harvest, both of the work you were doing and of what was attractive to you about it.
To be honest, I didn't know what I was doing. I was asked to be, please go here, do that. I didn't know why I was doing it, sincerely. I enjoy both the time in the vineyard, in the winery. I was with a team of we were harvesting, and then when the harvest was all picked up for the day, back to the winery, sorting grapes, putting in the press for white, taking the grapes out of the tank when the fermentation was done. But at this time, I didn't have any. I have a very little comprehension of the process. I was putting pieces after the fact together, but no. The only thing I remember is when I went home after harvest days, I was falling asleep. That's all I remember. I was off work at 5, and at 5:30 I was to bed. That was the first year for sure, but great memories again.
What? Obviously, you didn't kind of get the full comprehension of what you're doing or why you were doing it, and obviously the labor itself is difficult. So, what was enjoyable? What made you want to keep coming back?
The togetherness. There was always like music blasting in the winery. You can barely hear each other, but also knowing of your colleague was not from the wine industry as well. People from all horizons, people retired also, people taking vacation just to come to do harvest. That was awesome. That was a big family. That's the kind of feeling that I had with my great grandpa when he was gathering family, sharing food, drinking wine, obviously, talking about wine also. That's a subject I was not very aware of. Technical terms. The winemaking itself, the transformation of the sugar into alcohol and density, stuff like that. But I was asking for more. And then the following winter, I remember I said, "Hey, can you teach me how to prune the vine?" And wow, I was not wearing the right clothes. I was freezing. I was like, never again. That was my thought at this point. And the vigneron at this time said, "Hey, sorry, I didn't tell you to wear warm clothes. sorry about that. So I say, no, I cannot. But here I am.
You have pruned again since then.
Yes. And that's actually one of my favorite time of year.
Tell me about, you mentioned kind of diverting away from enology and viticulture for a while, working on the sort of the sales marketing side of things. Tell me about that pursuit and about learning wine from that side, learning to sell wine, learning to kind of to converse about wine. What did you enjoy about that? What did you learn at that sort of that period?
What I enjoy about that was the transmission of knowledge, for the little knowledge I had at that time, and I realize that now. Telling people stories also about winemakers that I knew and what's in their work was different and unique. Telling stories was something very enjoyable. I think it's that in wine business, it's you sell other stories at the same time you are selling yourself, because you have to describe winemakers, how they work, etc., to other people that are completely aware from that, and that was also a complementarity with what I was doing in the winery and the vineyard that I like to be like complete. That's not the right word, but
like holistic?
Yeah. Having the global vision of every side of the wine industry. I don't think I cover it all because there is multiple faces into the wine industry, and I didn't do them all, but I feel like vineyard, winery, sales, even accounting, which I realize now that I have a business, is I got some memories from accounting classes. So yeah, you learn everything from every experience you get, and I think wine industry, like a lot of other industry that need your passion or are working, you have to be multitasking all the time. And I think that's why I'm looking for also. I have a very hard time to rest. I mean, I like resting, but I like the effervescence of the industry.
Tell me a little bit about the time in Paris. Obviously, a whole different side of things, working there and selling wine. What was the experience like? What were you sort of doing on a daily basis, and what was the experience like?
So I got actually two experiences in Paris. The first one was during my first year of learning about wine regions of France, how to describe wine. I follow a wine distributor who had a portfolio of like maybe 15 wineries all over France, and I was following him in wine shop, restaurants, good restaurants in Paris also. So giving me another vision of the restaurant industry that I didn't know. How you sell differently to wine shop and wine and restaurant. Sorry. Again, it teach me another thing that we are with my company now. We are self-distributing, so teach me a lot, and I got a good vision of how things should be sold. But my time in Paris at the wine shop, mainly trying a lot of different wine. The only thing I would say about that is that it was specific French wine. We had a couple couple bottles from Italy, Spain, Greece, also. So there was some wine from other area, but getting into the richness of wine diversity in France in a made in organic matter was a very interesting and deep.
So what made you decide to go back into enology and viticulture? What was the trigger for that?
I think it's the communication that winemakers when they were talking, that gave me the need to go back to something very down to earth. I enjoy my life in Paris. That was great, but I think I needed something like rebirth, back to roots, and feeling my hands walking. Yeah, that was the attraction. Knowing more about vines, the science behind vines, the science behind winemaking as well. But I think the science, the development of vines from ground to bottle.
So you mentioned that the U.S. had been something you had been thinking about for a little while. Did you have familiarity with the American wine or specifically Oregon wine at that point?
No, I have no idea. I know about Californian wines more, even though in a rare occasion I tried a few. But Oregon, I was not aware of the scene at all. I think my first introduction to wine, Oregon wine, was Erin Vineyard. That's the memory of, I think, one book I was reading from Jensis Robinson, I remember, and that was my first introduction to Oregon wine.
So why did you end up coming here?
And so after my first experience as an intern in 2016 at Iris Vineyard, I fell in love. So I fell in love with Erin, of course, and through her fell in love with Oregon. And then, why not staying here? So and we started everything here, working at wineries and dreaming about our own project. I've been thinking about it for a long time now, but it's different when you're thinking about it and when you're creating it and realize that it's alive.
So I have many questions about your project. We'll get to them in a second. Let's talk about. Obviously, you mentioned like the U.S. was your first big stop, and then you went to New Zealand from there. So you worked in a huge place there. Tell me about what you took away from that part of time, and coming out of New Zealand, what you were sort of thinking about next.
I wanted definitely after New Zealand, after this experience, I wanted to live that huge winery experience, to really see what I wanted, and I think that was the takeaway. I wanted something small, with more intentions as possible. Like everything is thought before the fact. Of course, allowing a couple, mistake you can do without. But yeah, that was a takeaway after New Zealand. I wanted also to settle somewhere. I felt like I enjoy traveling a lot in the past, in my 20s. That was great, and I still love traveling, even though it's a bit more complicated right now, but I wanted to settle somewhere and build something on the long run, and having something small. I didn't want something big. I want something to do the right things, make the wine how we imagine it. And now I'm doing it with Erin. So it's two minds in a wine. I was before I met her. I was thinking making wine by myself, but making wine with two minds, it's a completely different mindset, which I am enjoying. It's all dream. It's our common dream. So we share the passion of making our wine.
So tell me how Oregon, when you first got here, your first impressions working at Iris. What were your impressions of the wine here, of the people here, and I guess what was different? What were you learning?
First impression of Oregon wine was focus on Pinot Noir, and I didn't know anything about Oregon wine, so I really had to explore as much as I could different wineries. I tried to taste a lot of wine, and I think it takes a long time to be very familiar with a country or traditions in the wine industry. It took me a long time to know everything about. I mean, not everything, but a lot of things about French wines. I'm really get into something deeply when I'm. So I feel like I still don't know a lot about Oregon wines. I'm still discovering day after day, and it's gonna take me a long time still. But I would like to mention that Oregon has a completely different mindset. So everybody is comparing it to Burgundy, and I don't think Oregon has its own personality, different soil. Of course, the Pinot Noir is here, but there is other stuff that we can do in Oregon different from Burgundy.
So let's talk about coming to Andante. Obviously, where you are now. What was the draw to work here, and what is your role here?
So I'm taking care of the vines. We have 22,000 vines, something like that. And what brings me here is the diversity in the varieties we grow, and also the youth of the business. It's very interesting to see how it grows, in what direction it's going, what's the mindset of a new winery, of fairly new wineries compared to the pioneer that who arrived in the late 70s, for example, and where we are going with the Oregon industry, especially in the Willamette Valley. I feel like there is a lot of new grape varieties that are suitable for Oregon, and this is what I like about Andante is we have varieties that are not very common. We have Aligoté, to name one, but we also planted Chenin and Cabernet Franc. I don't know where it's coming from.
Tell me about learning to grow here. Is it different in Oregon? Is there something you had to learn for different varietals or different area?
There are differences, definitely in the soil to start with. The climate is fairly the same, since we are on the same latitude almost. I mean, yes. We are on the same latitude. I think the most important thing is the technology, I would say. I feel like it's more advanced here. Financial development, and I think that's why the production costs are very high. We are definitely realizing that as an owner. Different way of doing for sure, which I'm embracing for sure. I'm getting used to it, even though different, but I'm diving in.
Tell me about your farming approach, farming philosophy. How are these grapes being farmed and why?
I always hear and read books specifically oriented in organic slash biodynamic agriculture. It's the way I learn. It's the way I've been taught. It's the way I've been thinking about it. I don't know if there is a best way, but this is my best way. Everybody has his own way of doing it, and they think that it's their best way. Great. I mean, there is place for everyone. Focusing on organic principle, getting the soil as alive as possible. I know there is a lot of studies out there that are comparing conventional viticulture versus organic agriculture regarding pesticides, herbicides, and studies showing that it doesn't really change the for example, the microorganism into the soil. That's great, but I'm believing in what I'm believing, and this is organic. Sorry, and I want to go that way and do some transmission about that as well. I'm passionate about it. We are making mistakes also in how to develop that in a vineyard. I mean, every viticulture wine grower will tell you, oh yeah, I made a mistake. I was going into organic, but I made a mistake that year. But this is the way you learn. I know I made some mistake as well. But this is how you learn and how you enhance the year after, etc., etc. But to come back to organic, this is what I believe in the care of the soil, care of everything alive. They give something to us, and I want to give back.
So you mentioned obviously starting the brand. So tell me about first vintage, finding grapes, figuring out how you wanted to do, how the thing was going to work. How did the first vintage go?
The first vintage was an adventure. Yeah. And we are fortunate enough to be welcomed by Andante Vineyard to make our wine in their facility, which helped us a lot. That's definitely something I have to say. And then we try to be as independent as possible. So taking care of the grapes, so we had to go in the dalles because the grapes are coming from the dalles. So, all the logistic behind that, leaving our main job during harvest time to get our grapes, do the wine when we can, to not impact the business of Andante, So it's a lot of the logistic also thinking that we have a son. And so yeah, it's a lot of organization. But you know, if you don't get into, you can't know. So it's always, you have to always to adapt, and nothing is undoable. So yeah, let's do it. Let's continue, because that was fun. Yeah.
And how did it go in the second year?
The second year, same thing. Same thing. A little bit more tonnage. Well, not a lot more, but we are starting very gently, because that's the thing, to make wine. But we have also to sell it. And 2-person business as of right now, and with our own job taking a lot of time, we can't make too much, because business-wise, I don't think it's smart for now. And yeah, we obviously hope that we will grow into a bigger company in the long term, but one step at a time.
You had mentioned earlier that the idea was original. You had the idea to make wine solo, and now making it with your spouse. Tell me about co-winemaking with your spouse.
It's so we're already working together at Andante, so it's just a continuity of it. And we have the same mentality when we do Andante wine, and except that Erin is the head winemaker at Andante, but it's more a binôme in our own brand. We have the same philosophy about winemaking. Maybe it's slightly different for our brand, because we want to do something a little bit different, you know. But no, it's working great. I've been working with Erin for now 8 years, so we know each other. We are different, but and sometimes we disagree, but at the end we always find a way to agree with compromising.
So I know one of the things Erin talked about in her interview was focus on different varietals and some things that were not less common. So tell me about what you've made so far, what you haven't made yet that you want to make.
Okay. So far, we made 70 cases of Syrah. First year, second year as well. We are trying to get. We are not trying to. We are gonna get some Grenache, Cabernet Franc, and Riesling for 2024. And hopefully we would like to expand to some Chenin Blanc as well. I mean, we are very open to a lot of things that are different from Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And I think this is where the industry is going. There is a slight shifting to me. Of course, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay will be here for a long time still, but the room for other grape varieties is improving, and people are behaving pretty well.
What's your long-term vision for your brand?
We would like to. It's still a dream. We are daydreaming, but purchase land to plant our own, build a winery, but also stay low key. You know, not necessarily a tasting room. Maybe we will feel differently when we'll be at that stage, but as of right now, this is the way we are thinking about it. It's doing everything by ourselves. I have this I think mentality from France, where the winemaker are receiving people for tasting, because there is not necessarily a tasting room in every wineries. So the winemaker is taking time to welcome the people who wants to taste their wine. That's the style of winery we want to be as close as possible to all wine lovers.
What's the varietal you haven't made yet that you want to make?
That's a vast question. Okay, right away, Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc. But I really like a lot of things when it's well made. I'm kind of a wine collectioner. I don't have 10,000 bottles of my house, but I have a couple of bottles I purchase, and I'm getting from all horizons, and I think this is what is fun in the US that we didn't necessarily have in France, is the broad horizon of wine that you can find on the market. That I have to say that to me was a very important in my vision into the wine industry. Be able to try wine from Australia, Greece, Argentina, discovering something completely different that I didn't have the access to in France. There is access to that kind of wine in France, but in a lower scale to me.
So tell me a little bit about the Oregon wine industry. Obviously, you've been here a little bit. You've seen some things happen. Tell me about the changes you've seen, how the industry has grown and evolved since you've been here, and kind of what Oregon wine looks like to you now in 2024.
So I'm here since 2018. I don't have a lot of perspective, honestly, to answer that question. There is definitely a before and after COVID. That's for sure. In terms of how it changed the hospitality, the hospitality side of the wine industry, the way you showcase wine. And I'm talking about, Zoom, etc. Because during COVID there was a lot of Zoom meetings, etc. And industry keep that habit and create another way of doing business, right? So that's the main change that happened in my perspective. I don't have a lot of perspective onto the Oregon wine industry, how it changed. To me, still developing, and there is a lot of room for improvement. And I hope that I hope that a lot of micro winery like ourselves will thrive in this industry. Don't get me wrong, the pioneer built something very important for Oregon, and I'm very thankful for what they did. But there is room for small producers that have a different way of thinking.
So what comes next as you look ahead for Oregon from your perspective? What do the next few years look like here in Oregon?
I would say more diversity in the grapes that are cultivated, and and maybe more coverage for small wineries. It's starting to develop with association of independent winemakers, for example, and that's great. That's fun, and I think people are also eager to drink something else.
We talked a little bit about obviously long-term vision for your own brand, but what else is in your future? What else is on the horizon for you personally or professionally that you're excited about?
So here at Andante, focusing on producing premium, ultra premium grapes. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. Developing organic viticulture. I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but enhancing the quality. I think it's the goal of a lot of person. You don't make wine to, stay the same from inception. So always looking at what you can do better, and always think of room for improvement. And thinking about it, like, how can we help the vineyard to thrive, to make wine without compromising the winemaking processes. How to get the best grapes to the best healthy grapes to not intervene too much on the winemaking process. This is definitely something that we are looking into, and so developing Andante's vineyard for sure. I love that. I love that job. I love that place, and I want to really give the best of all efforts to get better, and I think that's the same for my own business. Developing partnership with vineyard that are on the same page as we are doing wine.
Anything else you're looking ahead to?
And then thriving also as a family, because I think we can't doing what we do without the support of our family, and it's a source of energy as well. So we can't neglect that aspect. Be present. Find a balance with your own life, and thrive into what you're doing. That's the goal. And it's really a passion. I would lie if I say we are not here to make money, but we are here to make a little bit of money in order to make the ideal wine, So yeah.
All right. All the questions that I have for you today. Anything I didn't ask that I should have? Anything that we didn't cover today that you'd like to cover?
I think you covered a big range of subjects.
Good.
Yeah.
The whole horizon.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us, to share this beautiful day out here with us in this beautiful space, and go ahead and let you off the hook.
Thank you for having me, and that was fun. I enjoyed it. It was my first interview, so I was a little bit, stressed, but yeah.
You did great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.